Huzzah and welcome to Beyond the Gates, an Ohio Renaissance Fair production. On this show, you will hear from all your favorite members of Streetcast, vendors, and stage shows. We will hear wonderful stories from years past and find out who are the people who make the fair as magical as it is. So please, join us and enjoy Beyond the Gates. Hello, everyone, and welcome to another episode of Beyond the Gates, an Ohio Renaissance Fair podcast. This week, I'm joined by my good friend, Whiskey. Whiskey, how you doing today?
I'm doing all right. Thanks for having me on.
Yeah, of course, of course. It's great to have you on. I've been looking forward to this episode ever since I asked you to be a part of this season, because this year, your character and the role you have at Fair has changed to some extent.
Yeah, quite a bit.
So let's get started here. And how many years have you been on cast?
This is my fifth season on cast. I started in 2021.
What guilds have you been a part of?
Only the guards. I've only been a guard since I started.
What characters have you played?
Sir Corvus Ebonheart. Started off my first 2 years as just one of the guards, and then my third year I was asked to be the captain and have been Captain Corvus ever since.
What made you want to be a guard?
Uh, Part of it was kind of the relative cost of garb and things like that. A lot of the guard uniform uh is supplied by the festival, so from that standpoint it's kind of cheaper than a lot of the other options on cast. And I kind of joined cast in a weird way anyway, so I wasn't it was sort of an unexpected thing to kind of take on that additional cost to get garb and all that sort of stuff.
How'd you end up on cast then? If it wasn't a
So,
straight on traditional way.
so my spouse Lauren, had wanted to uh, audition for cast for years and years and never seemed the right time. And then in 2021, uh, things kind of lined up well. We had our weekends off and everything, so uh, it seemed like it was the right time. Um, we knew when the auditions were happening, so the day came and they said, "Well, I don't know, maybe next year." And I said, "No, no, no, get dressed. We're going. You're gonna go audition." And so I drove them up to the fairgrounds, and then I wasn't gonna audition, but I didn't feel like hanging out there and playing games on my phone for several hours, so I joined in on the games that everybody was playing during the auditions. And then Dave handed me the paperwork and said, "All right, show up on the first day of rehearsal."
Did you ever see yourself as much of a quote unquote theater kid growing up?
I had done like skits and things here and there with some friends back in high school, but I never gotten really deep into theater stuff. So this wasn't really anything I had ever really thought that much about, but I enjoyed it. And I still remember Dave coming up to me on the very last day of the 2021 season, and he said, "Well, are you happy you joined us now?" I said, "Yes, I am." And he said, "Do you think you're going to stick with it?" And I said, "Oh yeah, you got a lifer now."
So, from my experience of being on court, the guard has kind of a starting platform for a lot of people to get the kind of experience of being at fair, and then they transfer to a different guild.
Yeah, it does tend to be sort of a maybe this is a bad way of putting it, but like a stepping stone into other guilds. And a lot of that has to do with the kind of what I already mentioned, that some of the garb is already provided by the fair. So it's I know cost tends to be a bigger concern for a lot of people. And so having that option for a less expensive role that you can still kind of be a part of everything appeals to quite a few people. And then once once that first year is under the belt, then it's a little easier to kind of pull pieces of garb together to then move on to another role.
So, kind of building off of that, what made you want to stick around being a guard?
Honestly, I just enjoyed it so much. Seems like every year we've got a different group dynamic, but we've never had a bad dynamic, in my opinion. Everybody kind of, we're all a bunch of goofballs, and we, do a bunch of silly bits and stuff together, and I just enjoyed it so much. I wanted to stick with it.
Since you have stuck with being Sor Corvus now for so long, guards have officially become their own guild at fair.
Yeah, I'm super excited about that. It was something I had kind of chatted with Dave about, and with Tom, the costume director, and uh it's something that we've been kind of pushing for a while, and Dave decided that if I was going to stick around and be kind of that anchor to hold it in place, it was worth making the guards our own guild. And yeah, I'm very excited about it. It gave us a lot more time to workshop ideas for bits and things like that, and it's been a lot of fun.
So, compared to previous years, how has this year been different now that guards are their own official guild?
I feel like
Uh,
in previous years the guards have been sort of almost like background characters. I mean, we have always done little, silly bits and things like that together, but um we've been almost sort of a just there to as like window dressing pretty much, and I feel like as our own guild now, we had a little bit more time to during rehearsals to work on, guard specific things, and toss ideas back and forth, and then also develop our individual characters to really become much more recognizable, and kind of step beyond just the role of these kind of tough brutes that are there to guard the queen. Instead, we are other characters as well.
during rehearsals, the for those on cast, we call it guild time. Uh,
Mhm.
could you talk a little bit more about what you did in that time? I think in my earlier years, the guards were in the court guild time, correct?
Yes,
Or
in previous years, we've always kind of joined the rest of court for guild time, and uh, the kind of drawback of doing that was a lot of court guild time goes over the historical figures, like you yourself play Lord Cumberland, and so kind of learning, okay, here's who Lord Cumberland was in 1572 England, and here's who, this character was, and this character was, and how they interacted with the queen, how they interacted with each other, and sitting through those discussions. Yes, it was a very informative, but for the guards, it was kind of, well, that doesn't really apply to us. Well, that doesn't really apply to us. Well, that one's different for us, And so there were a lot of things that uh, were great for the nobles on court that we as the guards didn't really get much out of that. And so being able to kind of split off on our own and have our own guild time, we could work on things like developing our characters. I mean, we don't play, uh, real people who existed in 1572 England. We just invent our own characters. And um, so kind of talking about, okay, how did your character become a yeoman guard? And what is their background like, and what are their dreams and their goals and things like that, kind of that getting into the depth of the character building. um and then on top of that, we got a lot more time to work on things like how to hold the halberds correctly and different halberd drills and commands that I can call out and things like that. And then the big one that I'm very happy I got to spend a lot more time on is teaching the other guards the Queen's Litany. Because I feel like in the last few years, uh, I've known the litany and I've kind of done the litany for everything. And a lot of the other guards haven't really had that opportunity to do that themselves. So I've been really pushing that this year for everybody to get a chance to perform the litany during progress and during parade and things like that.
I have a story about the litany.
Oh yeah.
Yeah. So not this year, but last year, I was asked to play a yeoman for a couple of the promo events
Oh
that
yeah, I remember that.
the fair was a part of, and I played a yeoman at the Rheingeist Brewery,
Hmm.
and they're like, "Oh, Lucas, when you go out there, just do the litany as loud as you can. The room kind of echoes." And I was like, "I don't know the litany. I'm going to be honest. I do not know it. It's something that I hear, but I've never been responsible of saying before. So,
Yeah, I kind of
uh,
threw you into the deep end with that one.
yeah. And it was just one of those things. Like I hear it a dozen times a day, but it's just something that never registered.
Hmm.
So now that the guards have become their own official guild now, I'm guessing you were somewhat a part of the audition process this year.
Yeah, yeah, I got to participate in the auditions. Specifically, I helped out with the kind of dialect and performance part with Aaron, where we had the auditionees do per- kind of perform a monologue. They had their choice from various sources.
Were you able to? I don't know how. I mean, I was only at one audition, uh, so I don't know what it's like to be the people like checking off certain boxes for the different people auditioning. But did you have any like, hey, this person seems like they'd be were you looking for certain traits and stuff like that for people that you were like this person would make a good yeoman?
Yeah, there were quite a few people that um, when I saw them not only during the monologue reading portion, but also during some of the games that we played and things like that. I saw how well they interacted with people, how well they worked in a group, and those were kind of the qualities I was looking for in guards. Um, and there were quite a few that kind of stood out to me this year. There was Chad stuck out to me quite a bit because he was very enthusiastic in all the games, and he tried some some different accents and things in the monologue reading, and he was very just kind of eager to try new things. Plus on top of that, he had a voice that carries really well, which is great if I want him to recite the litany out in the streets and stuff. um and then there were a few people like Rico and George, um, that I really wanted them for the guards, and I did talk to them about it. But then they're like, "Well, no, I think I want to try this character." And honestly, I'm glad they made the decision. Not that I still would love to have them as guards, but their characters in the case of Rico as the Lord Magistrate and George as the village toy maker. I love those characters so much. They have really like blossomed this year, and I'm very, very happy for them.
No, I couldn't agree more. Unfortunately, I don't really get to see much of what George gets to do just because of our own schedules being so different. But with Rico hanging out with Progress and coming up for knighting ceremony, I really get to see how much work and stuff that he's put into being Lord Magistrate.
Mhm.
So, unfortunately, we are coming to the end of another season of the Ohio Renaissance Fair.
Yeah.
It's just crazy how fast that it once it's here, it just blows right by.
Yeah, it does.
What is the future of the Guard Guild that you see?
Well, we went from a total of 6 guards to a total of 8 guards this year, or at least for part of the season. And so the plan in the future is to keep bumping that number up. I think the target is to get up to a dozen guards, which is going to be uh, definitely a sight to see. Um, and eventually, uh, all of the uniforms will kind of be revamped a little bit. Two of the well, I last year I got my new captain garb, uh, which looks very spiffy. And then this year I had two officers in the guards. Hero was my lieutenant, and Ian was my sergeant at arms. And so they got some new garb as well for their rank. And the plan is eventually all the guards will look like that. So I'm very, very excited for that.
What shows are you a part of?
This year I've got a little bit of speaking lines on the opening gate and closing gate. I'm also along with Clancy as Dr. D, one of the I don't know what our official title would be, but like main people calling out the moves at the human combat chess match, and that's been quite a bit of fun. Uh, And that is pretty much well, I've done a few kind of bits and things with Carnivale at Pub Sing, but we won't go into that too much. And then that's pretty much all the shows that I've been doing. Other than that, I am accompanying Her Majesty on progress throughout the village.
Uh, just to dive a little bit into what you do at Fight, do you yourself have any fights that you're a part of?
I do. I am in fights. Yeah. I do kind of the opening duel against Dr. D. It's a very kind of quick 10-second rapier and dagger fight. And then on some days, if we quote unquote lose the chess game, uh, your fake wife, Lady Cumberland, and I kind of lose our temper at each other and challenge each other and go into a what's been described as a pretty brutal fight.
It's been a lot of fun to watch you and Tracy have that fight. It's
Yeah.
been I don't get to see I don't think I've seen it in its entirety, but just the bits and pieces that I've seen have been really really great.
Mm. A lot of great memes have come out of it too.
That is true. That is true. Have you ever considered switching characters?
I have thought about it. I had a few kind of ideas floating around my head of some villager characters, uh, even kind of some real bare bones ideas for Fae characters. Um, and nothing's ever really gotten a whole lot of meat on it, but especially now that the guards are a guild, I have both the pleasure and obligation to stick around as Sir Corvus for a while longer.
As we kind of wrap up this episode here, what is the biggest change that you have seen or experienced at Fair?
Um, that's a tough one. Well, just in the 5 years that I've been there, the fair itself has grown quite a bit. I mean, in 2021 was already kind of a big year coming back from COVID and all that, and uh, it seemed like Renaissance fairs as a whole sort of hit a pardon the pun, a new renaissance. And they kind of boomed in popularity again. Um, but then just since then, ORF specifically has just grown and grown. We added the Whimsy Woods. We added all kinds of new vendors. This year there was that new road through the ups and downs, so they had some space to put even more vendors through there. So it's just gotten more and more and more popular and crowded, I'll say. But I think capping the tickets uh, has been helpful in that regard.
Just so you know, as somebody who spends most of his day making puns at fair, you never have to apologize for a pun on this show.
That's a good point. I got to remember who I'm talking to here.
Uh, so I know you kind of touched on it a little bit of originally how the guards were kind of seen as window dressing, and as somebody who has been able to, I mean, we spend a lot of time together at fair.
Yeah,
It's been a lot of fun getting to watch you and the guards definitely become their own thing with I think having the guards have giving them the chance to be in their own guild. I think is fantastic. I've been able to see some of the interactions that you've had with patrons, and those have been fantastic to see. So I was wondering if you had any interactions or stories with patrons that you would like to talk about.
yeah. There's honestly my favorite moments at fair are the moments where it becomes more than just a silly show that we're putting on. You know, the moments where we can kind of really connect with people. And there was a little boy that showed up a few weekends back this year. Um, I don't know all the details, but I do know he was pretty chronically ill. And I won't name him for respect for his family's privacy, but I remember Dave was running around and pulling people together kind of impromptu to try to put something together to make the day extra special for this little boy. And in a couple moments, I got to be kind of a part of that. One of them, I remember, the family was meeting with the knights at the joust list, and uh, the little boy also wanted to meet with a bunch of the pirates, so a bunch of them were there to kind of say hello to him. And then um, as the family was leaving, was walking off of the joust list, I only had a few of the guards there with me, but I wanted to do something special for them. And so I just called out commands for the guards to stand at attention and present arms, and they hopped right to it without a second thought. And I don't know if the little boy really knew what was going on, but I know his parents kind of commented on it, and it seemed like they were kind of touched by that gesture. So it was uh, I'm glad I got to be a part of that. And then later on in the day, they came to the knighting ceremony, and uh, sorry, there as the little boy was coming through the line, Tyler, Sir Martin Frobisher, called me over to escort him in to meet the Queen, um, and to get knighted as his name, the Brave. Um, and that I think that moment will stick with me forever, because it was just knowing what he and his family are going through, and the fact that I got to be a part of making that day special for him was the biggest honor of my life.
That's very well said, and I appreciate you taking the time. to share that special story and moment with us here on the show.
Absolutely.
So, Whiskey, what would you
Hmm.
say to someone who is thinking about joining cast?
Uh, that the auditions are in June, and you know, don't let the imposter syndrome get to you like it almost did for Lauren and me, and instead show up. Well, we'd love to have you, and it really is a lot of fun. It's a lot of work, but it's a lot of fun.
No, it's one of the greatest things that I've been a part of. I know that.
Yeah.
It is definitely a lot of fun, but it is a time commitment and a half.
Oh, for sure. Yeah.
So what do you do when you aren't at fair,
Uh,
running
I
around the
am
woods?
I am a quality engineer at a defense contractor, which is yeah, I know that that's kind of the the curveball that I tend to throw people in the ass because everybody thinks like, oh yeah, I'm a theater major and I work at a carnival and stuff like that. Nope, engineer.
No, I had no idea that you did that.
Yeah.
That's definitely definitely threw me a curveball. And last question here as we wrap up the show. What
Mm.
keeps you coming back year after year?
Uh, the friends that I get to see every year. Um, I keep kicking myself because I need to do better at like making the effort to hang out with people outside of the fair season. But it's like walking into a giant hug every time we come back to start rehearsals and get into the season and stuff. There's a lot of really good people on cast, and uh, I love seeing them every year.
No, that's great. That's very well said. And as somebody who usually starts working two jobs in the off season, uh, I know what you mean about not getting the chance to see everybody. That
Yeah.
well, speaking about not seeing everybody, we would all love to see you at this upcoming weekend, which is the last weekend of the Ohio Renaissance Fair for this
I
season.
will be there.
And hey, I'll be there too.
All
Uh,
right.
and for everybody out there, and Whiskey, thank you so much for coming on the show and talking with us
Absolutely.
and sharing your stories with us. It's greatly appreciated. And to all of you out there, thank you so much for listening. And as always, you can catch us on Spotify, YouTube, and Apple Podcast. And remember, huzzah!
Huzzah.